Oh, welcome one, welcome all to the SnailTrail4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun in Toyotas, and of course, hearing about how fantastic giving away sets of tires are in Toyotas, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and germs. My name is Tyler, and joining me for another episode today on the SnailTrail4x4 podcast is the man of many talents, garden fence builder extraordinaire, a rat trapper on the weekends. He also likes to moonlight as a whiskey aficionado. He goes by Hydrojet when he's out wheeling. He prefers working on other people's vehicles because his never breaks down. It is the one and only Jimmy Jet. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Have you been watching Top Gear or something?
No, I actually, that comes to mind from a couple of things. One, The Simpsons.
Okay.
Of that TV reporter or the guy, you may remember me in such, you may recognize me in such movies as this title and this title and this title. And one of my favorite American history podcasts, The Dollop.
Oh yeah.
They kind of go through and the main guy, Dave Anthony, he introduces himself as like, I am a man who has a face, a man with two legs. Yeah. just like common sense stuff that you're like, okay, can you get to the point here?
Yeah, right.
Shut up.
Yeah. I don't know. They did it in Top Gear too, where they would be like, yeah, they wouldn't do as many as you just did, but they would do like one, maybe two. Okay. You know, and they're like, oh, we're going to now go over to Richard Hammond, with the man that, you know, is too short to stand on two legs. So he uses all four or something, you know, and then they cut over to Richard doing something random.
Okay. That's funny. God, I haven't watched Top Gear in a very long time.
Neither have I.
Yeah. So anyways, Dax, if you're listening, I'm sorry. But it's, I'm boycotting Top Gear, Dax, until you come on the show, just FYI.
Yeah.
So,
but Richard Hammond, you can join us anytime.
Yeah. Anyways, we're here on SnailTrail4x4 podcast. We have some really exciting news for you guys today. We may or may not have a set of tires to give away.
Ooh.
With some wieners to announce.
Yes. Exciting news.
One of them, I think we know.
Yeah, I think so.
The other two, I'm not sure. We very well may know them, but we can't tell from their iTunes account names and their review. But the third person, based on their review, I think we know them.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how this goes. We'll let you guys know the details as we get later into the show. Let's see. Today we do have, of course, we're going to be setting up a new set of giveaways for the reviews. So we'll let you guys know how that's going to work, but keep the reviews coming in because we are still going to be doing a big prize for reviews in the future. It's just a matter of now, what is that surprise going to turn into? And how many reviews are we going to try and get to? Because we've passed 750.
Yes, we have. Exciting news.
So really cool. We've passed 750, which means I don't know how many more people are going to be willing to leave reviews. It's taken 5 years to get to
6 years.
6 years. Are we at 6 years?
6 years.
I don't know anymore. Yeah. If we've taken 6 years to get to 750, you know, what is the next big goal that we're going to shoot for?
Yeah.
And what's worthwhile for the vendor to donate a big prize to cover that time span, right?
Right. Well, and it's taken 2 years to go from 500 to 750.
Yeah.
So is it going to take roughly about 2 years again?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be longer? Yeah. And that's what we're looking at, is trying to figure out if it's going to be longer. Maybe we're only going to do something at 100 reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's going to be worth it to try and get a big prize for from a vendor for 100 reviews, but we don't know how long that's really going to take.
Yeah,
because these last 50
went in like 2 weeks.
The last 30 went in like 2 weeks, and the last 50 went in within a month. So if we kept that up, 100's not enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see how this works. We need to figure it out. We need to maybe talk to Yokohama first and then see if we can do something with them again, since they are so generous and gave us a set of tires. If not, if they don't want to work with us, or if we choose to go somewhere else, we'll let you guys know. But we need, we weren't working on what to do until we came across this problem, because we didn't know how fast you guys would respond.
Yep. Yeah. And you guys responded very quickly, which is awesome to see. So, keep the reviews rolling in. We'll let you guys know once we have the next review set up, and we'll talk about the winner for and the backup winners for the set of tires from Yokohama later in the episode. We do have our monthly giveaway this month, which is from Jimmy and I from the podcast here. So we like playing with lasers, apparently. And so we've found that throughout the years of playing with lasers, we've discovered that we really enjoy lasering particular objects, and that's kind of where our skill sets with lasers have come in now. So we're going to put together a shopping list for you guys, a menu per se that you get to choose from if you're the winner this month to go shopping. You're going to have a $200 budget, and you'll get to choose anything you want from this menu, any amount of quantities of it. So if you just want a bunch of tumblers, you can do it. If you just want a bunch of whiskey glasses, you can do that. If you want to spread it out and do a bunch of different items, you can do that as well. So that's what we're doing this month. And it'll be, Snail Trail logos lasered on the stuff. If you get like some of the charcuterie board options, we got other designs that you can laser on those, like the Rubicon trail map, Fordyce, Barrett, maybe another trail that you like. We can set that up for you. So anyways, we'll have those available and you'll get to go shopping. So in order to get in for this month's giveaway, June, all you got to do is go over to irate4x4.com, which is a really cool forum board with a ton of really good information and pretty high quality entertainment. If you like watching people, I don't know what's the right word.
I don't know where you're going with this one, so I can't help you.
Okay, I'm just going to say, if you like watching people get shit on and, and what they're doing, some people, then iRate's a great place to go. So great entertainment there. But there's a lot of really good information as well about people that have done things to axles, suspension components, really creative things to do with vehicles and camping equipment over there on that forum board. But SnailTrail4x4, we have our own little section there of forums on irate4x4, and that's where you sign up for the monthly giveaway stuff. So go over there, go to the SnailTrail4x4 forum, and sign up if you want to be involved with the monthly giveaways and have a chance to win some cool stuff here through the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I was on irate4x4 just the other day looking up things for the power steering for Bobcat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I wanted to figure out, we'll talk more about this in the later in the episode, but I've been trying to figure out if there's a way to improve the stock power steering pump.
Gotcha.
And irate4x4 came through.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that because I just have, I think the trail, I think I have the trail gear. No, I have a PSC pump on there.
Okay.
We did a PSC pump with a smaller pulley and then a really long PSC ram.
Got it.
Because I have a really wide axle.
Yes.
I'm curious to hear if there's ways to upgrade pumps.
Yeah.
So
yes. And yes, there is. And that information is out there.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we got going on for housekeeping stuff?
Well, not a whole lot because I guess it's just the winter. Cause normally we talk about reviews at this point.
True.
So, do we want to go into the winter now? I don't know of anything
let's wait
else.
After the break.
Okay, after the break.
Yeah, make people listen to some info about Onyx. And
there you go. I mean, the other thing that we kind of normally brush on is just events going on. I did have some feedback, which I thought we covered this, but we kept talking about Rubathon, and supposedly we never mentioned when Rubathon is happening.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we just say, oh, Rubathon's coming up, and we never said when it is, but it is next week. And I don't know what those dates are off the top of my head. What is they're 25 through 28?
Yeah, 25 is the Wednesday. So there's some kind of rogue runs, I think, going in Wednesday. But the majority of runs start on the 26th and 27th.
Right.
So
26th, roughly, 25, there's some rogue runs going in. 26 is some dedicated runs heading in. And then it goes through Sunday, which is the 29th. People are coming out of the, a lot of people go back or go up Cadillac, but a lot of people also come back through the trail.
Yep.
So if you're out on the Rubicon next weekend,
it's going to be busy.
It's going to be busy.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of Toyotas out there.
Yep. Let's see. I'm taking my father.
Oh, cool.
Yep. He's going to ride passenger with me for the trip. So
yeah, I'm really trying to get out there.
Yeah.
That's, I've got, we'll talk about it later, like with all the power steering stuff going on right now. I'm working on getting Bobcat done and ready. It's also a very busy week for the family this upcoming week, because it's my same thing that kind of happened last year. So I think I can pull it off.
We'll get into it.
Well, I'll just say that it's my daughter's play is that same weekend. So it's just a crazy weekend.
Yeah.
Or crazy week leading up. But yeah, we'll get there.
Cool. Let's say I got to talk a little bit with Brian at 4 Wheel Underground.
Oh, cool.
Yesterday.
Okay.
So he's doing really well.
He hasn't called me in a while.
Yeah. Bummer.
He keeps sending me photos of whiskey though. So I think we're still buddies.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like you guys just need to have a whiskey Snapchat or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
that'll work.
Yeah.
I don't have Snapchat anymore though, Brian, but if you do, I will get it.
Yeah. He apparently 4 Wheel Underground was having some production issues.
Okay.
With some labor that he uses for production of putting all the bracketry together to his specs and everything. So there was a back order on 4 Wheel Underground stuff for a little bit, but he thinks he's got it solved now, and things should start rolling out. So if you guys have ordered some 4 Wheel Underground kits or bracketry or anything from 4 Wheel Underground and fell victim to that back order, things should start rolling out here for you guys shortly. He also got in all of his Heim joints.
And more than that, he got in the aluminum links, which he posted about, and he's saying it's pretty much a free upgrade.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, okay, I'm ready, Brian. Yeah, I could use some links.
Yeah, right. I'm about ready to start painting the chassis and everything on the 4Runner and the axles and getting everything painted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, aluminum links would look so clean under there with a full black, everything just nice and black around it everywhere.
And you only need them for the lower links, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So I only need 2.
You need 2. I need 4.
Because I have the trailing arms in the rear.
Yeah.
So I only need 2, Brian.
We're waiting.
I'm smiling at the camera.
Yeah. So anyways, he got in a lot of kind of the next step. There's a lot of things that he is planning over the next couple of years with 4 Wheel Underground, which is really fun to watch him grow and how he's morphing the business there. And this was kind of like the first step of the next series of steps that he's doing with 4 Wheel Underground. So it's fun. We've known about this going on for a while. We keep it kind of hush hush. But they are available now. He has them in, they're ready to go. So if you guys are looking at aluminum links, Heim joints, etc., he found a way to manufacture them and get some really good pricing and keep the pricing down for you guys. So go check out 4 Wheel Underground for sure. He's got all that stuff ready for you guys now.
Yeah, so. I think he posted something up about the aluminum links just the other day, and I shared it on my platform. And pretty much it's a $0 upgrade on his on the pricing. He was able to find a way to get it all manufactured and to be able to be delivered to you at $0 to a change in the price of a link kit, which is
pretty crazy,
which is insane. Yeah. I'm super stoked. I'm happy for him. Yeah. And Brian, I still
We're ready.
We want some.
That's funny. Well, cool. So that does it. Definitely go check out Four Wheel Underground. Go check out Onyx Off-Road. Go check out Yokohama. Go check out all those vendors that support the show here. They go a really long ways to doing some awesome things for you guys, the listeners, the watchers, if you're watching the show. Yeah, they have some really cool stuff. They're really cool companies. There's a reason why we partner with them and why we've chosen those specific companies to partner with. So awesome people, awesome products. They're doing some really cool things in the industry. So check them out. So
absolutely. All right.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Let's take a quick break. Let's listen to Onyx Off-Road. One of us will talk about it. I think it's my turn. I try to alternate them. I think it's my turn. So you'll listen to me talk about Onyx Off-Road, and then we'll jump into who won some tires.
Yeah, we'll be right on back. Grab your favorite drinks.
Are you stuck inside? Are you not sure where you want to go to explore? Well, open the Onyx Off-Road app. It shows you all the trails around you and it tells you their difficulty. Now you can quickly search out your next adventure or plan your next trip. Download Onyx Off-Road from the App Store. Onyx Off-Road, built for the adventurer.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. If you skipped the first part of the show and you're just coming in now, shame on you. Shame, shame, shame. But we forgive you for now. I forgive you. Jimmy doesn't. He's an asshole. So he's just
very much so.
Jimmy's actually the much nicer of us too. Welcome back to kind of what we've been up to. I got to do some work on the 4Runner.
Nice.
Getting it ready for Rubathon. Jimmy has been working on Bobcat, getting it ready for Rubathon. Learning about power steering systems.
Learning more. Yeah.
Learning some more. So I'm excited because
had some friends help out too. So that's all good. I did contact Eric again at Radial Dynamics and talked to him a little bit and discuss some things. And then Hustle Nuts came over and we talked about layout.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. So yeah, we'll get into that because I definitely want to know. I want to learn more about power steering systems and what you've learned because I know very little. I understand the basics of how hydraulics work. There's a pump that pushes fluid, that pushes a ram, and you get steering.
Pretty much.
So how do you make that better is what I want to know. And so I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. We have a winner for Yokohama Tires.
We do.
Anything else?
We have Father's Day.
Father's Day. Yeah, that's right.
We can talk a little bit about that.
Mine will be very quick. So we'll get into that.
Will be a little longer.
Okay, cool. All right.
Which is the story of our lives.
Let's announce a winner.
Okay.
I'm really excited for this.
Yeah.
Because this has been like when Jimmy and I first started the idea of giving away a big prize for bribing you guys to review us on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. We were drinking that night. And it was at my old condo. And it was, I remember that episode because we got feedback from that episode saying we need to be drunk more often.
Every time we've recorded drunk, we get that response.
Yeah.
And the problem is we record during the day.
Yeah.
And not at night like some other podcasts. Mm-hmm. And typically we're both away from home.
Yeah.
So we can't
drive home.
Yeah, we have to get home afterwards. At least one of us. Yeah. We need to figure out if we can record in the afternoons and the secretary and the assistant can join us wherever we go so that they can take us home.
They can come pick us. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So anyways, this idea of giving away big stuff started with a winch and it totally came out of my mouth because I was drunk and drinking.
Okay.
And then once it was said on the podcast and we aired it, I was like, well, we got to go through with it now. And, which is fine. I had that extra winch laying around, but it was I was drunk and it turned into a winch giveaway. And then it was like, what if we were just one day, we were like, what if at like sometime, like a winch is cool, but it's like a $300-$400 value, the winch that we give away. What if we could give away like a set of tires? That's like a $2,000 to $3,000 value. Like we'd never be able to do that. And we talked Yokohama into it.
I don't know how we did that.
But we've been, talking about this tire giveaway for 2 years, 2.5 years now.
Yeah. Somewhere around there.
And it was definitely like in my head, like giving away a set of tires was like the penultimate if we can con a company into doing this, it would be awesome. But that was like the penultimate. I was like, I don't think we'd get to that point. Here we are at that point now.
Yeah.
And
well, not only did we somehow con a tire company into letting us give away a set of tires, we've also contacted them a month or so ago saying, hey, just a heads up, this is coming due. And they're like, sounds great.
Yeah.
Thanks for working with us. And we're like, awesome. Okay. They're actually, it sounds like they're going to come through on their end.
It sounds like they're coming through after 2.5 years of doing this. Because we were kind of concerned, like,
had they forgotten about us?
Did they forget about us? Did they have, did people turnover happen? And now the new people in charge are going to be like, no, we're not holding to that.
Right.
But no, it sounds like they're holding to it. And it sounds like, Jimmy and I have actually gone over the numbers and what the podcast and listeners have been able to deliver. And it sounds like it's definitely worth them giving away a set of tires.
Oh, 100%.
So it's really cool to finally get to this point and be like, was all this really worth it? And to see that it is all really worth it. It's just cool. I don't know. It's one of those moments with the podcast that I never thought would happen. And now that we're here to see it happen and see that it really all is working out for everybody involved.
Yeah, it's a win-win-win situation.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so
100%. Well, let's not delay any longer.
All right,
we're teasing the listener right now. They want to know who won.
Yep.
So the way that we did this is we have 750 reviews.
Yep.
We did a random number generator on Google. We chose 3 people. And we're going to announce all 3. But the first person has the right to receive the tires. If they can get in contact with us we're giving you 60 days, which actually falls at August 19th. You have until August 19th to get in contact with us, and then we'll make the arrangements from there. If the first person never gets in contact with us, then it's going to fall to the second person. If you guys got in contact us within those 60 days, then you won the tires if the first person didn't. And then the third person after that, if first and second people don't get in contact with us.
Yep.
So the first number that came up, number 1, this is the person that will win the tires if you get in contact with us first, was number 139.
What was the date of that review?
The date of that review was May 1st, 2021. Tyler's going to scroll back and we're going to find that review for you. Yep. And the person that left that review was A13X Mont.
Grand winner. You win the tires if you get in contact with us. It's A13XMONT. Yep. And the review was titled Best 4x4 Podcast There Is! ! Oh,
I like it already.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And then it was nothing better than sitting in the driver's seat of your Toyota, listening to these two share their knowledge.
Nice.
So
I think you should win just off of that review.
Right?
Yeah.
So A13X Mont, you need to get in contact with us because we don't know who you are. You need to be able to prove that you still have access to that account. So if that was your iTunes account, beautiful. If it's somebody else's that you left the review on, you need to be able to prove that you can access that account. We have the steps to do that. We'll walk you through it. And if you can do that within 60 days here.
Yep.
So you have until August 19th to get a hold of us. Then you get a set of tires from Yokohama Tires of your choice.
Pretty much. And almost any tire of your choice you can choose on their lineup, except it has to be DOT approved and has to be less than a 20-inch rim.
Yep. So that's pretty much all their off-road tires. Some really cool options they have. The new AT4s are an awesome tire. I just got a set, and we'll talk about this later, for the dually.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, really cool stuff. A13X Mont.
Yeah.
Get a hold of us.
Yes.
August 19th. That's your deadline. And if you don't get a hold of us by August 19, who's our runner-up?
We're going to go up to the first runner-up, which was on March 28th of 2024. So it's a semi-recent listener here.
Mm-hmm. It was number 589?
589. Mm-hmm. Yep. So you just missed the winch giveaway, but you got in for the tire giveaway. So good job on that.
What was the date on that?
It was March 28th, March 2024.
Okay.
And the winner is Cam B. CAM space B.
Yep. And the title was Great Show. It says, been listening for a couple months now on my drives to work and have not found anything better, including wheeling wine and whiskey.
Nice.
That guy needs to win. Always looking for a new episode. So Cam B, you are the first runner-up. Yep. If A13X Mont does not get a hold of us by August 19, and you do, so you also have until August 19 to get a hold of us, then you will win.
Yep.
So,
and that's as simple as that.
Yep. Same rules apply. You have to prove that you own the account or at least have access to it. We have the steps to do that for you. But get a hold of us regardless. So, because everybody is kind of on the same deadline, right? So August 19th. So get a hold of us as soon as you hear this episode. And then if A13X Mont does not get a hold of us, you win.
Yep. And then we did another runner up because we didn't know how things would fall or how old some of these reviews might be.
Yep.
This one actually was also fairly recent. It was on February 1st, 2024, number 566 for us. And the person's name is Boo Collector, BOO Collector, COLLECTOR.
Mm-hmm. And the review is love this show. Spaghetti.
The like description is spaghetti.
The review itself is spaghetti. The title is love this show.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if that is Mr. Sean Spaghetti.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe on somebody else's account, because I don't think that's his account. I want to say that his account was like something spaghetti.
Probably.
Or if somebody, because there was a point there where we were talking about Sean Spaghetti for quite a few episodes.
Yeah.
If somebody just reviewed spaghetti.
Yeah.
So
no clue.
No idea.
So yeah, Boo Collector. Mm-hmm. If you listen to this and you get in contact with us, you are the second runner up. So get in contact. Same rules apply. August 19th deadline. For all you guys, X13 or A13X Mont or Cam B or Boo Collector, you have to get in contact with us before August 19th to be eligible to win. A13X Mont has first rights, and then it goes down the line from there.
Yep. Cool. I like it. I'm really excited to finally be giving away a set of tires. I'm kind of curious to see what we come up with next, because I'm like, how do you top a set of tires? I don't know. But now that we have the data to show that this was definitely worth the value of a set of tires to a vendor, I think there's some interesting vendors we have in mind that we can go to and be like, hey, look, this is what we can do. And this is how the listeners respond. Mm-hmm. Let's do something. So we will come up with some ideas and let you guys know. But I think over the next 60 days, we're really going to be focusing on making sure one of those three people get in contact with us. And so that we can actually give away this set of tires on the first go around. So
absolutely. And hopefully, fingers crossed, by the end of those 60 days, we'll have the next item out there for you guys as well.
Yep. So really cool. That's the first update for today. Super exciting. Kudos to all the listeners out there for that last rush of reviews that came through.
Well, it was like 30 reviews in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So pretty cool to see. Let's see. What else do we got? So we have, I want to spend a little bit more time on power steering. And so I'll go first.
Okay.
With what we've been up to. Cause I think I can go through pretty quick.
Sure.
So my to-do list for getting the 4Runner ready for Rubathon is, welding the sliders, reattaching them to the 4Runner.
Okay. Bringing them down a little bit and adding some gussets.
Adding some gussets. The rear output seal
on the T case. Okay.
And painting the chassis and getting everything painted and sealed up. So for the paint and sealing, I got some essentially rust encapsulator oxidizing base paint essentially.
Okay.
And it's designed for car chassis. And so I did it in a spray can, rattle can style.
Sure.
So I did that, and then I have the matte black Rust-Oleum. So they're both Rust-Oleum brand.
Okay.
And then I have the matte black Rust-Oleum that I get for everything, for touching up stuff underneath the 4Runner. So what I like to do is after a couple of trips, I'll go through and kind of look under the 4Runner and see where rocks hit things. And then, wipe down the rock dust off of those points and then repaint it if nothing's wrong with it. Right.
Okay.
So I do that with a Rust-Oleum basic matte black.
It might be fun to, like, once your entire undercarriage is black, then you go through with neon green, and then you find out actually where you hit the ground or the bottom more often.
A shot of neon green there.
Yeah, wherever the scratch is, you put that neon green, and then you can come back in like a year later or whatever, and you're like, well, okay, well, I obviously don't hit this area, but I do hit this area quite a bit. And
yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be like a map of where you collide with rocks.
Yeah, that'd be funny. So yeah, that's the plan for the painting the chassis and the axles and everything, is to use that rust encapsulator first, the anti-oxidizers, and then put over just the matte black Rust-Oleum cover stuff on it.
Have you started any of that?
Nope, haven't started it yet. I've been working on the sliders.
Okay.
So the sliders, there's
because you're gonna have to paint those as well once you've done welding. Makes sense.
Yep. So the sliders, a couple of things. I was able to cut off 3 of the 4 posts on either side.
Yeah.
And then the 4th post is kind of like blocked by the body mount and my lower link rear brackets, that I can't really get into that post and cut them off.
Sure.
If I wanted to cut them off, I could cut it off like halfway and then maybe sleeve it, and reattach it all that way, but I'd still need to pull that post down, right? So that doesn't make a lot of sense. I can cut it off halfway and just grind that stub all the way down to the frame.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
That sucks. So what I found out by accident is once I got the 3 of the 4 posts cut off and then standing on the slider to get in and out of the vehicle, the slider bends down enough that it clears the door.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm like, what if I can find a way to pull the slider down and then re-weld the posts back on the frame?
Sure.
Because in theory, if you're cutting the slider away, you are cutting material out of there. You're creating a little gap. So if you pull down the sliders now, you're kind of closing that gap that you cut out.
Yeah.
And then can re-weld it to the frame. And
yeah, that makes sense.
So that you weld them now at a lower angle than what they were before.
Correct.
So the question is, how do you pull down the sliders and hold them there to weld them?
Okay. I would probably first try to ratchet strap them to your wheel.
Okay.
Front and back. And then pull like that will, when you tighten it, the strap will want to get straight. So it'll pull down a little bit on the slider.
Tried that. It's too much of a horizontal pull. So it doesn't pull down enough.
Okay. Well, what if you put the 4Runner on the trailer?
That would have been a good idea.
Strap it down straight down to the trailer.
I have a wood deck, so I'd have to bolt something through the deck.
But you have metal on the ends, right?
I guess I could set it up that way.
Is there no hooks on is there anything on the exterior side of your trailer?
There's tie down rails and yeah. So I could have done that.
Could have gone that way.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, I was first thinking like maybe you could drive over something like that would like pull it downwards. But I was like if you put a rope from your front tire underneath your front tire and over the slider and then to your back tire and you drove forward, maybe it would pull it down more.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it would work that way because nothing's changing distance. There would be it
would pull tension down. It's the same idea as there's a popular item coming out right now to help anchor a vehicle that is winching another vehicle.
Oh yeah.
And it's essentially whichever way you're going to be winching, you drive forward onto a rope. And what it does is it loads your suspension down.
Yeah.
And that helps to anchor you better, supposedly. and creates more of a static pull rather than a dynamic pull because your suspension's moving. But anyways, that same concept.
Yeah. So if you went from the one bar to your rear tire, that would pull, but it would also pull it backwards, I think.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Those are my first few ideas you gave me like 10 seconds to think about it.
My thought was to put the hitch extension on the truck, my 4-foot hitch extension when I have the Lance on.
Yeah.
And then use that to ratchet strap the slider down to.
So you would pull the 4Runner up to the back of the dually, and then you'd have the hitch there and you could strap straight down to it.
Yeah. The problem with that is I don't have the space to have the dually backed up to the side of the 4Runner.
What do you mean?
I don't have the space to do that.
You got a whole road in front of your house.
Then I'm blocking the road.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, block the road is the option.
Pull up on the pasture across from you.
Yeah. I could have maybe done that. So yeah, block the road, pull up on the pasture or something. That could have been one option. What I ended up doing is I have 2x3 square tubing, rectangular tubing, that I've supposed to be building a headache rack and semi-roof rack for my father-in-law.
Yeah.
That he keeps not bringing his truck over for me to do it. So it's just sitting in my garage. So I have 8-foot sticks.
Okay. So did you just drive onto that?
Drove onto that and ratchet strapped down to that. So, did that and it worked out great. To pull the sliders down. I'd pulled them down roughly an inch.
Okay.
Below the level of the door coming out. And then welded things up. Welded up the posts onto the frame. And then released the tension and it came up maybe 1/4 inch. So I have about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch clearance between the door coming out and the sliders now.
Okay.
So
that's better than it was.
And it's about as strong as it was before.
Sure.
So now the next step is to make it stronger than it was before.
Yeah.
So we don't get that bending back up. And the big thing that keeps me from welding on top of the posts is that with the welding hood on, I cannot get my head up to be able to view on top of the posts.
Sure.
But I realized.
Don't wear your welding hood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
you have little goggles, don't you?
I do have little goggles. So the thing is I think I can take and make top gussets, and with those goggles, I should be able to fit my head between the frame and
the body, and the slider
and everything. I think I can get my head up there with those little welding goggles. So it just now comes a matter of how much of a face tan do I want to get? And do I wear a balaclava, or maybe do I find a way to get my leather hood to fit properly and tighten down so it doesn't move around, and maybe I can use that to get up in there.
Sure.
So I think I'm going to try that method because I did have somebody who's an engineer. He makes roll cages.
Okay.
And I think he's one of the guys that actually called in about the roll cage stuff.
Yeah.
And he said that doing a top compression gusset is going to be way stronger than anything I do on a lower side tension gusset.
Yeah.
He said, but a lot of times when it comes to off-roading, strong enough is strong enough. So he said, it really comes down to, do you want to spend the time to redo it in the future?
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fair. Maybe I should try and find a way to do a top compression gusset if I can. Or do both.
Yeah. But if you have the time to do the top one, you can do the bottom one fairly quick and easy after the fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because below the bottom side is very accessible.
Yeah.
And so the hard part is getting the top ones if you can get it. Also, you're not going to need, I don't think you need to weld like the entire thing.
No, it would be like stitch welding.
Yeah.
Right? You're just doing the compression gusset.
To some extent, there's a level of like, you could just close your eyes and go.
Yeah, just set it up and close and feel it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see if I can get my head up there or not and see where I'm at least putting the welder and the welding gun at and see if I can fit there. But yeah, that's kind of next on the step. I kind of came to that idea on Sunday, and I did most of the work on Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
So, but anyways, sliders are welded on. don't anybody ever go up and look at those welds? They're going to hold. I do them really thick. But at the same time, like the first 1.5 posts on each side came out great. And then after that, they were getting pretty bad because my neck didn't want to hold my head up anymore with the hood on to do the welding. And so I was like, God, just like trying to hold my head up. And I was only able to do like maybe 1/2 inch weld at a time. And I have to lay my head down and hold on. To get my neck recovered. So anyways, they're welded on about as strong as before. So now it's just a matter of make them stronger before the trip next week.
Nice.
So let's see, did that. And I did not do the T-case output seal, but I have the seal to do it. That should take 20 minutes whenever I find time to do it.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, you should check the bolts on your drive shafts.
I mean, in theory, you're undoing them and redoing them. So
yeah, but while you're there, you should do the front ones too. You should check the bolts.
Yeah. Well, I'll check those and put some Loctite on them this time.
Yeah,
so.
That might help.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. How was Father's Day while we're on your topics?
Father's Day kind of sucked. I ended up getting a little bit of a stomach bug.
Oh no.
So I was kind of nauseous and I didn't want to be vertical at all day. And so I was just horizontal pretty much all day, laying around, watching TVs and movies, and the wife kind of handled the kid for the day. So it definitely wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to go out to breakfast at a breakfast place nearby that we really like. And then you're becoming dad material when you get asked, what do you want for Father's Day? And you say, I want to barbecue some tri-tip.
Excellent.
And so I didn't get to do that either. So yeah, I pretty much didn't eat anything all day. Like I didn't have anything to eat from Saturday night dinner until pretty much Monday dinner.
Wow.
So yeah, Father's Day was very uneventful. But yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it is. Whatever.
Did you get a gift?
No. No, not really. So yeah, it was Father's Day kind of sucked, but it was, it is what it is. And then the wife ended up getting whatever I had.
Oh, bummer.
On Monday.
Yeah.
So she was like, I don't feel good, but I don't feel terrible either. She was like, I'm just kind of nauseous. I feel like I just need to stay horizontal. And then this morning she was like, I feel great. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. You had whatever I had then.
Perfect. Yeah. At least she's better. Yeah. Father's Day for me was interesting. The first off, the mini assistant was with her dad.
Okay.
For obvious reasons.
Yep.
And so we postponed my Father's Day to be Monday.
Okay.
When we had the mini assistant back. But on Saturday, we took my dad out to a lunch and we went to a little tea restaurant up the hill and we got some chai teas and we ate some good food with North Fork Tea, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
They make some fantastic chai teas.
Okay.
So we went out there, we ate, we came back to my parents' house and then we gave him presents. And then Sunday, we went and spent a lot of time with the assistant's family and her stepdad and some other aunts and uncles. And we did a barbecue with them. And he cooked up some elk and some hamburger and some chicken and made skewers of a bunch of things and then a lot of veggies and stuff. It was fun. And then Monday rolled around and when we had the assistant or the mini assistant back, I was like, okay, I have a dinner plan. The assistant's going to make me a special dinner. And then they're like, well, you want to open presents now at like lunchtime? And I was like, well, I'm not going to say no to opening presents, but do you guys want to wait till dinner? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay. So I ended up getting a set of waterproof headphones. So when I go swimming, I can listen to some music.
So they're earbuds or?
No, they're bone connectors or whatever they call those. They sit on your temple and they resonate through like your jaw and your temple.
Really?
Yeah. It's really interesting.
Huh.
So your ear's completely open, nothing in your ear at all. And I've used them, a thing similar to them before, and they don't get very loud. Sean, I think MF or Sean has a pair.
Okay.
I think I swear I've seen him have one before. He has like these, they go over the ear, over the top of the ear, and they sit like on your temple.
Okay.
And they don't get super loud outside in the air, but when you get into water, because water's so dense, it just amplifies everything.
Really?
And they get, so I have them at a very low volume in like when I'm walking around, and then when I jump in the water, they just get even louder. So they're kind of cool.
So those work off of vibration then, right? They're not actually sending a sound wave per se into your head. It's vibrating?
For the way I understand it, yes, it's sending a vibration into your bones, and that vibration resonates as the sound.
Yeah. Interesting. So can other people swimming at the same time in the water, can they hear it then too? Like, are you projecting sound under, because sound waves,
but I don't know how much, because I can, like, if I take it off of my head and the volume's up, I can hear it. Like it does. It is creating a sound.
Yeah.
But the majority of it, it's not going through your ear. It's going through your bone.
Interesting.
And it's making, that's the amplifier.
Can you pull it off of your head underwater and hear it really well?
I don't know. In theory, I should hear it better.
About, right.
Because if it's amplified when I go underwater on my head, then it would probably be amplified underwater.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm curious.
They're really cool.
Yeah.
My brother has a set, and so I got to use his once. So
okay.
The only slight downside is that like they're made for like Bluetooth connections, and there's no, like, when you go underwater,
you can't take your phone with you?
Goes away, right? And I'm not going to swim with my phone.
Yeah.
They do have in like storage inside of it, but I'm like, who the hell has music anymore?
Yeah.
Like that I can store on there.
True.
Well, I still do, as a matter of fact. Okay. I had to dig out an old hard drive and plug it in. And I had to, actually, I connected an old computer to a monitor and set it up that way. And waited for the computer to boot up in whatever Windows 8 version it is or something. And I think it was 10. But yeah, I think it's 10. But I went and checked the properties of that hard drive, and I have like 300 gigs of music on there. The good old like Napster and LimeWire times.
Yeah.
So I've got some old jams that I'm going to be throwing on to the headphones, because any new modern day stuff I don't have downloaded. So that'll be fun. I got to set that all up. I also got some Legos. I got a Lego bonsai, because they came out with a new version. They had like the pine tree one. Now they came out with a red maple tree. So that's really cool. And I got an off-road truck thing.
Okay.
I didn't look at it too closely. I looked at it enough to know that it's not a Jeep. I don't think it's a Toyota. It kind of looks like a Land Rover, if thinking back at it. But I didn't look at it so much. But the mini assistant bought it for me, and she said, "Look, it has a winch, and it has this like cable thing." So I think I'm going to build it and put it in my rig or in my office and like hang it from something by the winch, like it's trying to drive up the wall.
Yeah.
So those are the things I got for Father's Day, and it was a pretty low key Father's Day because it was Monday and I was working, we weren't celebrating the day so much but the assistant made me these raviolis that she bakes. You cook the raviolis, and they're just cheese-filled raviolis. And then she, like, when they're near done, she, like, before, like, or right at al dente kind of scenario, she takes them out of the water, and then she dips them in an egg wash, and then dips them in breadcrumbs, and then puts them on a pan, and then bakes them for a little while.
Okay.
And so they become these breadcrumb covered raviolis.
Yeah.
And they are so good. And then we just stick a fork in them, dip them in marinara sauce, and eat them. And man, it is my favorite meal.
Oh, okay.
It's so good. Oh, it's one of my favorite meals. It's super tasty. The thing is, it's quite labor intensive to make, and it makes a lot of dirty dishes. And so we don't eat it very often. I really do think the last time we ate it was either my birthday or last Father's Day. But it's a fun meal to have. So that's what I asked for.
I really enjoy making your own dough
Yeah.
And then I have a dough roller for pasta making.
Okay.
And then little ravioli cutout things. So you can cut out your own patterns of raviolis and then making your own stuffing, putting them in and folding over the raviolis and then cooking everything.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. But it's like a 2-3 hour process. And I'm like, shit.
It's an entire day.
God damn. And it creates such a mess and so many dishes. I'm like, I can only do this like once every 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. All right. So that was my Father's Day for the most part.
Okay.
The next thing I wanted to sort of talk about was I've been doing a little bit of research on Samantha, mainly on the rear axle because of because the diff parts seem so expensive.
Yeah.
And I originally bought this axle, knowing that I was probably going to have to change some things and thinking that it was an easy axle to do some swapping on because nobody was making an 8-inch that was this wide.
Yeah.
And so I've been having a conversation with Beer Andy, and we've been talking about what axle I have, which I believe is an 8.2, which is referenced as a Toyota 8.2 differential.
Okay.
So I think nobody's using the 8.2, which sounds like it came in the T100 and the FJ Cruiser.
I was going to say the 8.2 was only done for, I want to say 3 to 4 years, maybe.
Right.
And it came in a very limited number of vehicles. That would be my assumption as to why the parts are so expensive. Like when you were saying 8.4, I was like, that's a very common ring and pinion for the Toyota platform. The 8.4 is very common, but what they did was they went from the 8.2 and then realized that it was a little weaker and they could make it better. And they quickly switched from the 8.2 to the 8.4. And then the 8.4 has been around for over a decade.
Yeah.
For 20 years,
almost
maybe?
20 years, I would guess. Somewhere around there.
Okay. Now that we know it's an 8.2, that makes a lot more sense as to why the parts are so expensive.
So, yeah, exactly. Okay. And so I was like, well, what's under the Tundra? What's under the T1, the first gen Tundra?
Mm-hmm.
And so I messaged Hussman and I said, hey, can you go outside and look at your rear diff and tell me what it is? Like, can you tell if it's a 9.5 or an 8-inch or the 8.4 differential? What nuts are on, like what size nut is used to put in the third member?
Okay.
Because when I was talking to Beer Andy, he was saying, well, the 8.2s are a 14 millimeter bolt and the 8.4s are a 12 millimeter and the 8 inches are a 12 millimeter.
Oh,
and I'm like,
interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
So Hussman went out and he said, it's a 9.5 and it has 14 millimeters.
Okay.
And I was like, interesting. Okay. So what Beer Andy told me was that there's no 9.5s under a first gen Tundra. They are all an 8-inch. And so I ended up calling Yukon Gear and Axle. And I was like, a gear place should know to have this answer, right? Beer Andy works for Toyota. Like Hussman knows his shit. And I'm like, okay, let's find out. And so I called Yukon and
tiebreaker.
The tiebreaker. And I said, hey, I'm trying to figure out my rear diff. And I said, I have a 2004 Tundra. I'm getting conflicted information online about what my ring and pinion is. Can you tell me what it is? And they said, you have an 8.4.
Okay.
And I'm like, he said, you have an 8.4 out of a T100. And I'm like,
I don't think
thanks. And I'm like, so now I have 3 different things.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yukon says I have an 8.4 out of a T100. Beer Andy says that the T100 is an 8.2. And Hussman's saying that he has a 9.5 under there with 14 bolts, which Beer Andy says if it has 14 millimeters, it should be an 8.2. So I'm kind of in this, like, I have no idea. But one of the things I did notice is that Yukon sells straight up rebuilt third members as a shipping thing. Oh. And they are as expensive or cheaper than the quote I got from the local fab shop.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Whether and at this point, I'm kind of like, well, I think I'm just going to stick with what I have. I do think if I could find, if a T1, or excuse me, if a Tundra, first gen Tundra does have a 9.5 in it, I think I might go that route.
Yeah.
Because that's just a bigger.
It's a nice axle, nice platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot
is the T100 full float, semi float?
Semi.
The one you have?
Yeah.
So the 9.5, if it's, it's a Tundra 9.5, so it's probably semi float.
It's semi float too.
Okay.
So I don't want to go down the rabbit hole now of trying to get a custom axle housing and then get a third member, a 9.5 third member, and then regear it and possibly e-locker it.
Yeah.
Like all that's just going to cost way more than just me doing this third member. Granted, it would be beefier all around, but I'm trying to do this more on a budget.
Yeah.
I've said that before. So I'm kind of like in this weird hesitation area of I don't know exactly which way to go on the rear third member of Samantha right now. And so I'm interesting though, when I was talking to Beer Andy, he said that the Toyota 8-inch, and don't quote me exactly on this, but I think the Toyota 8-inch measures roughly about 204 millimeters.
The ring gear?
The ring gear.
Okay. The diameter of the ring gear.
The diameter of the ring gear.
Okay. Okay.
I think it was around there. The 8.2 measures at 208 millimeters, and the 8.4 measures at 204 millimeters.
I was going to say there was something weird with the 8.2 and the 8.4 where the 8.2 and the 8.4 are supposedly the same ring gear, but there's difference. The main difference is in, I believe, the pinion and the pinion supports.
Yeah.
I think is what the big difference between those two diffs is.
Yeah. So, but 4 millimeters is what we're talking about. The difference is between the 8-inch and the 8.2.
Yeah.
Because the way that Beer Andy was explaining it was the 8-inch and the 8.4 is the same ring gear. And the 8.2 is slightly larger.
Interesting.
So they're still, in my opinion, they're still all 8 inches.
Yeah.
For the most part. 4 millimeters is so small that it's not, it's not a big difference to say that it's still an 8-inch. But I do think then some of the differences are how the third member is assembled and the carrier and the pinion, I believe, is going to be larger on, it must be the 8.4. I'm not sure what it is.
I think it's the 8.4. Don't quote me on that though.
Yeah. So there's differences besides the ring gear. So to my knowledge, an 8-inch, an 8.2, and an 8.4 are all still, in my opinion, an 8-inch ring gear. And so I was like, well, I'm going to be having a bigger ring gear with this 8.4, which is what I thought I had, but I think I have the 8.2, but it's still an 8-inch ring gear. It's just a bigger carrier, bigger setup, bigger opening, for the carrier and maybe a bigger pinion. With what I have. I don't know if I have the one that has a bigger pinion or not. Yeah. So it's just silly to think that it's the same ring gear. Why is everything so expensive?
Because it's the same ring gear, but it's different.
Yeah.
It's different. Actually, how it's all set up.
One of them has, and I don't know which one it is. One of them has the 8-inch, Toyota 8-inch, I believe has 8 or 10 bolts that connect the ring gear to the carrier. And one of them, the 8.2 or 8.4 has, if the Toyota one has, or the 8-inch has 8, the 8.2 or 8.4 has 10. Or if the 8-inch has 10, the bigger 12. One has 12.
Yeah.
So there is a difference there on how it's mounted to the carrier. But yeah,
the ring gear could be thicker too. If you think about it, it never really opened my eyes as you would think, an 8-inch ring gear is going to be the same as an 8-inch ring gear.
Sure.
But comparing that 8-inch ring gear to the 10.5 I have under the 4Runner, the 10.5 is bigger diameter, but the thickness, it's triple the thickness of an 8-inch ring gear. And you get a lot of your ring gear strength from that alone. Because what happens is when you put a load on the differential and the carrier, you get deflection.
Right.
Because of how the pinion sits in the carrier, right? It pushes the pinion up usually towards the drive shaft, and it pushes your ring gear away from the pinion.
Mm-hmm.
So you get this deflection, and the more that you can keep that deflection from happening, the stronger your gears are as well. And that's kind of the problem with too much backlash, is it allows deflection to happen, which then you end up a really shallow engagement. And that's how you break teeth off your ring gears. So a lot of the strength of an 8-inch ring gear, or a 9-inch ring gear, or whatever the ring gear is, 8.82, 8.4, comes into how much the carrier, the pinion supports, the ring gear itself, how it's bolted to the carrier, how much of that limits deflection.
Sure. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So I don't have an answer on any of that yet.
Yeah.
This is just some of the information I'm finding.
Okay.
And I almost feel like I need to write like a blog article, like clarifying like the 8-inch, 8.2 and 8.4 and summarize like what I'm discovering and then talk about the differences of them.
Be a good,
I have an 8-inch and I have, I have one of an 8.2 or 8.4. I don't know which one it is. And I'm not 100% sure how to tell. Because it sounds like Yukon and my source at Toyota are conflicting information.
Yep.
But it should be pretty easy to find out. So I'm halfway tempted to see if I can find the other one.
Yeah.
Which I think is an 8.4, and I think it's a later model setup. So if I find like a 4th gen 4Runner's third member and pull it out, and then I can compare all three of these like side by side, I think that would be a very informative article.
Yeah.
Talking about what the actual differences are of them and where they can be applied.
Yeah.
But right now I don't know what I'm going to do. So that's just the discovery of the differentials and what's going on.
Don't you have a set of 05 and up Super Duty axles sitting around?
I do, but that's now we're going down.
I just wanted to throw that
more
in there.
Expensive. I have to change everything.
I know. Again.
So power steering. Let's move over to power steering on Bobcat. My main focus this upcoming week is just all Bobcat and getting Bobcat steering hopefully working before or at the weekend point so that I can go wheeling next week out for Rubition and go see some cool people and some good friends. So on, I think it was Friday, Hustle Nuts came over and we tore apart all of Bobcat steering. Cool. Took off the power steering pump, took out the reservoir, took out all the hard lines and soft lines, and disassembled a whole bunch of stuff inside the engine bay to like make room to pull a bunch of things out.
Did you leave the steering box?
The only thing we left is the steering box and the lines for the hydro assist off of the steering box.
Okay.
The pump is off. The pump's off to get rebuilt. I've called around to a few people to ask like, how easy is it to rebuild? I know the parts are super cheap, but is it worth it? And a few friends said, just take it over to Rockland Hydraulic and they'll take care of you.
Nice.
I said, okay. So I took it over there and dropped that off the other day. So, and they should maybe today or maybe tomorrow, it should be done, which would be really nice. And I received my reservoir from Radial Dynamics.
Cool. It's a nice looking reservoir too.
So sexy.
Dude, I really want to replace, I think I have the PSC reservoir in there now. And I'm like, this Radial Dynamics one blows the PSC one out of everything out of the water. They did a really awesome job with them.
I was waiting for the mount for the reservoir, the mount for the inline filter, and the filter setup from Radial Dynamics. I was waiting on, I hadn't received any of that yet.
Okay.
As of this recording on Tuesday, it's supposed to arrive today. So hopefully that will happen. So we just started, and then I went and got a brand new pump from the local auto parts store because I have one in a tote on the shelf, but I'm kind of like,
I don't know how old this is.
I don't know where it came from. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know if it came from one of my vehicles or something. Somebody gave it to me. And I'm like, it just makes sense to go get another one. And let's not worry about it. And I'll keep this one that's used that came off of the shelf as a backup, and I'll put it in my like carry with me in case of an emergency situation. And the one that we took off of Bobcat went back to the auto parts store as a core charge.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So after talking to Eric from Radial Dynamics, we discussed about the line sizes that everything needs to be ran. And because I'm running a stock pump, the lines don't need to be that different.
Okay.
Mainly the return line, it has to be bigger.
That makes sense.
Which makes sense in his reservoir's design that way with a much larger output. So I started doing a little bit of research of how can I improve the pump, the stock pump. Just, is there an easy thing to do? And it turns out that a lot of people drill out the high pressure side, and I don't know what size it is stock, but they drill it out to a 13/64, which I did the basic calculations going larger. It's just below. I think it's 3/64 smaller than 1/4 inch.
Okay.
So almost a 1/4 inch big.
Okay.
And I think that's like I think it's around an 1/8 or maybe a little bigger stock.
Okay.
So they drill it out a little larger, and that's really about it. And you can pull that whole section off of the pump.
Yeah.
It's just screwed on. So you pull it off, and then you can pull out the restrictor from that section, and then you can drill that out to 13/64, and then you can put it all back in. And what everybody says is all that does is it creates more volume flowing. It's not a higher pressure. Yeah. It's not going to be that much stronger. It just creates more flow, and it helps the ram move a little faster.
Helps the ram, I would imagine, a little faster with more flow. So it's going to be more responsive.
Yes.
But also, if you have a bigger reservoir that now can carry more volume, it also helps the system run cooler.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
And so it's not because let me back up. So a lot of people complain about the lag of hydro assist.
Yeah.
And so this kind of solves that a little bit.
Okay.
It makes it a little bit more responsive, like you said, and it makes it move a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But not more powerful.
Interesting. So, in what I did to get rid of the lag, like a lot of times you get lag with hydro assist systems at low RPMs.
Okay.
Because the pump just isn't going fast enough, right?
Yeah.
Spinning fast enough to pump the fluid through.
Correct.
So a lot of people will put smaller pulleys on their pump. That way the pump turns faster at low RPMs.
Right. And the problem with that is that you spin faster, which means all the components inside are spinning faster and they wear out quicker. Yes. And they spin drastically faster when you're driving down the road.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Because you're not idling down the trail. You're going, 2,000 RPMs down the freeway. True. And now your pump is spinning even faster than it's designed for.
So doing the drilling it out, the restrictor and making more flow that way rather than run your pump harder is very smart.
Yeah.
So that makes me kind of want to do that to my pump and put a regular size pulley back on it.
Possibly. Yeah. I guess there's a spring in there too, in this whole setup. And the spring has sort of a baffled kind of setup inside of it. And so people talk about stretching the spring, but everything I read on like irate 4x4 and on Pirate 4x4 says whenever you F with, you shim the spring or you stretch the spring, the pulley just burns up within a year. And so I was actually reading a Marlin forum, and I was reading about somebody talking about doing all this. And they talked about just drilling it out and not effing with the spring, and how well it was working for them. And then I went down and I was like, wait, I know this person.
Oh, really?
And it was Edwin Adab from 4475 Racing, a SLO County Crawler member.
Yeah.
And it was from like 2005. And he was talking about drilling out a power steering pump. Wow. And I was like, dang, that's old.
See, if you just called
news.
Eddie.
I know. So I might call him just to kind of shoot the shit and talk about how it works or what would be good things to avoid.
I'd be curious to talk to him and be like, how long did that last? Did that really work the lifespan of that pump, and see what he says? Did you stretch the spring after all, or did you not? And did it still last, or did it blow up pretty quick, or what?
That's
funny. That's cool.
It's so random. Yeah. So I recognize the name. His name on his forum name was like Super Yoda, but then he had a signature and it had his name in it, and then it had his racing number.
Okay.
And all it had was ADB. And I was like, wait a second. And then underneath it had his race number. I'm like, no shit. So, Eddie, I might be calling you. So I'll probably actually call Eddie and talk to him about it. See if he remembers back, 20 years now, to when he did this, and see if it was a good thing or not. Otherwise, I'm just going to leave the pump alone, because the pump lasted me near 20 years of wheeling. And it's just, and I think my problem was more of containment of the fluid, how much fluid I had in my system, and things getting hot. Yeah. And so I'm adding a filter, I'm adding a bigger reservoir, and I'm adding a cooler to the system now. And I think that the stock pump will probably be fine with that, by me adding all those things. In worst case scenario, it runs exactly as it used to. Back, before I was having any issues. Yeah. So that's the game plan there. I am working with Hustle Nuts and with Eric, trying to figure out Hustle Nuts more the layout and how we're going to set it up, and then figuring out what barbs or connection points or AN fittings, or how we're going to lay the whole system out, and how we're going to reduce and change things to the size. I think we're going to move my, not the distributor, but what sends the signal to the distributor, the coil. The coil, yep. So we're undid the coil, and I think I'm going to push the coil all the way back, like damn near my firewall, and just screw it down to the fender, kind of like it is normally, just farther back, because there's nothing there next to my brake master cylinder and the brake booster back by that. So I'm going to move that all the way back, and there's plenty of cords to be able to do that. What about putting it the way Hussman had his on when he had his 22RE in the buggy? We talked about that, which he moved his on top of his valve cover. And it literally fits perfect on top of the valve cover. The bracket that comes on the coil fits perfectly with the valve cover bolts. Yes. The question is, do you have enough height there? I have enough height. Okay. The problem is Hussman's old rig was 1985 and doesn't have nearly the vacuums lines that my 1991 has. Okay, that's fair. Hussman had a 1985. You said 85. Okay, good. I didn't know if I said 85 or 95. Yeah. But yeah, so there's a lot more junk back there where mine, there was discussion about that, and possibly rerouting one or two little lines, or adding longer lines, so just to go over it. It might just be easier. It's going to be easier just for me to push it back and just tack it down, or screw it down, or whatever. Or just run a hole, drill some holes, and maybe put some nuts on. I'm not sure how exactly. Nutserts work great in fenders. So, something like that. But the next big hurdle is to mount the filter and the reservoir. Into somewhere, somewhere in an easy way to route everything. To something that doesn't exist. So I have a few ideas, but pretty much what I'm going to be doing is making my own bracketry and designing and building my own mounts. But once you move the coil back, those holes become exposed, and I can utilize those. There's also additional, I don't know if it's stock or what, but I have like 5 or 6 other holes that wrap around the inside of the fender onto the inside of the engine bay. And so there's a whole bunch of mounting spots. So if I could just figure out a way to make a good bracket to utilize some of these mounting locations, it's going to be stout enough. Because it'll be on different planes. It's just a matter of, okay, how do I design it to work with the hoses and everything to flow? And it doesn't look like I'm going to have to pop a hole through my hood to get the reservoir high enough. But one of the things we're talking about is possibly drilling a hole in my fender to pull the filter out of the filter. So you'd pull it through the bottom of your wheel well towards the tire. And I think that's kind of unique and funny.
That'd be fun.
Because otherwise I got to mount it like over the power steering box or something in that void to have room to come down.
Yeah.
Where if it's in the fender, like my tire doesn't go high enough to hit my fender. And if as long as it sticks down a little bit so I can get my hands on it, it'll be totally fine.
Yeah.
And
it might just get a little dirty.
Yeah. But it'll get a little dirty and maybe wet occasionally, but that's not going to affect anything.
Yeah.
So I think that's what that's the game plan is we're going to design the filter to come down through the fender and we're going to put the reservoir over from that a little bit. It doesn't need to be too high in my engine. My engine's low enough that the reservoir is going to be plenty high to bleed the system. So the next steps is designing the brackets and trying to figure all that out, because I think once we get an idea of how to design where everything's sort of going to sit, then we can really decide on how the connections are going to be run. Because I haven't done a lot of this work, but Hussman has with all of building his buggy. And he pretty much said the connection points are the easy thing. There's every single combination is out there.
Okay.
So, because I was talking about how the filter might be up front and or the filter is farther back towards the firewall and the reservoir is going to be a little farther or closer to the power steering pump. And I'm like, but then that means that like the whole line's going to have to do 180 degree to run back to the filter. And he's like, they make 180 degree fittings.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. So I think once we get the mount designed, then the fittings and hose runs are going to be fairly easy to figure out, but they're still in the back of the mind while we're setting everything up to just make sure it'll be easier to run.
Just need to make sure you have pathways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then Hussman gave me his old cooler, and we were talking about ways to run it and set it up. And then he's like, didn't I give you an old like radiator style cooler? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, I swear I saw one digging through one of those bins a while ago. And so we dug through some of the bins, and yeah, there was a brand new, still wrapped, small, like power steering cooler.
Yeah.
That you like screw through. You send like these zip ties things through your stock radiator.
Yep.
And we're just going to use that because it's going to be more streamlined and simple. I don't have to build a mount or design anything fancy for it.
Yep.
So we're going to just put one of those on front of the radiator.
Just make sure when you do that you put like a foam pads or something in between the power steering cooler and your radiator as well.
A gap.
Yeah. So
Create
that you have a insulated gap, because that's the problem that I had. My power steering cooler was rubbing on my condenser.
Okay.
For my air conditioning, right?
Sure.
So
if you have a condenser, that could be a problem.
A condenser is the same thing as a radiator.
Okay. So
if you put a power steering radiator up against your radiator, you're going to have metal on metal contacting and rubbing.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. Follow you what you're saying. Yeah. I was just saying I don't have air conditioning, so I wasn't going to worry about it. But okay. Yeah. So put something there, some rubber or something in the way.
Foam, something to take out the vibration between the two surfaces.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Smart. You know, and what first thought on that is I keep a lot of old bicycle tubes laying around. And
you can just shove a couple of those in,
for stupid random things that need to be wrapped or separated or whatever. My old bicycle tubes are perfect for that.
Yeah.
So I'll just cut like a small square out of that, or maybe a few of them, and then just space it away with one of those. So that would work out well. Or something else. Who knows?
Yeah.
So that's the power steering thing. So I'm in the midst of that. I'm trying to work on it every single day. When Hussman came over, we took everything apart. Tried to talk about a few things. The next step was the Bobcat was extremely filthy. And so I needed to clean the fender and that, because I was having a power steering leak at some point, and that whole inner fender was just grimy nastiness.
Yeah.
So I cleaned all that. And now what I need to do is I actually need to put back in the air box and maybe the crossover air tube and some of the things that we had removed, because we just need to figure out the routing directions for some of these things, so that those items need to be back in there. So we not going to mess anything up in the future for like, oh, we got the perfect solution. And then you install something and be like, damn it, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So that's one of my next steps. And then I'm going to do some CAD design.
Nice.
And the way I'm thinking about doing this is doing some CAD design and design this whole thing kind of with cardboard, and then talk to Brad at a Hot Metal Fab and have him cut something out on his laser.
Yeah.
These parts, and then weld all that together and create this bracket. And then I have the mounts that will mount the reservoir and the filter, and incorporate that all into it. And hopefully that'll all get done soon, because we are planning on going camping this weekend.
Oh, geez.
And there's not going to be a lot of free time on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
No.
Well, Sunday we'll have more free time because we do need to come back a little early to get the mini assistant to Tech Week.
Yep.
So this upcoming week, Sunday through Thursday, is Tech Week for the mini assistant. And so she has to be at theater every single day. The assistant is doing an afternoon's church camp that she works at.
Okay.
And I'm planning on being out of town probably Tuesday through
Thursday,
maybe Friday. And though the assistant originally said, yeah, no problem, go wheeling. Now that it comes closer, I think I need to circle back on that and said, you said I could go. Is that still the case? And see if she's not freaking out.
Yeah.
Or if I don't get Bobcat done, who knows? Yeah. But I'm really hoping that it's going to be fairly easy. But I don't have a lot of time, and there's some big hurdles that need to happen. So and we need to stop recording so I can go home and start working.
Yeah. There we go. Cool. Well, that's good. Good stuff. I like the power steering stuff. I love the idea of drilling out the restrictor.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of commonsensical sense. So yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Definitely let's close up this episode here then. We're getting into the time frame there. So we'll close this out and let you go home and start getting Bobcat together so you can go on Rubathon, or at least on a rogue run for Rubathon.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. Cool. If you guys have any feedback for us, you want to talk about your power steering plans, you can do that. Give us a call. We love hearing from you guys at the voicemail line. 916-345-4744 is where you can do that at. And if you guys want to get in touch with us on Instagram, email, 4x4, Facebook, all sorts of different ways. There's bunch of different ways to do it. You guys know what those are by now. If you're brand new listening to the podcast, go back, listen to some of our old episodes. We talk about all that, and we have some really good content out there for you guys. So, Jimmy Jet, any final words for everybody today?
Well, I was just thinking that I don't know what's going to happen next week.
Yeah.
We're both supposed to be out on a trail on one of our recording days.
We might have kind of a dead week where either nothing comes out. I will have the Starlink with me down in the Springs. So if we meet up on the trail, or we can record on our own and send files to each other, I can get them uploaded if we're both on the trail or something.
Yeah.
But we're not sure what's going on next week yet, and we didn't really plan for it. Shame on us, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out for you guys.
Yeah. Cool. And with that, my friends, keep crawling.
I got one for you.
Ready?
Are you sure?
No.
Okay. It's sort of a one-liner again.
I'm not ready. Okay.
Are you sure?
I'm ready.
Okay. I don't think you knew this about me, but I'm terrified of elevators. Did you know that?
Are you afraid of going down, or?
No, I'm taking steps to avoid them.
Oh, that's fair.
I'm a rookie move with a cell phone.
I know.
Off.
You get $5 in the beer fund now.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
So you're taking steps to avoid elevators.
Yep.
All right.
It's healthier for you too.
That's fair. It is healthier.